listening to Speaking with One Voice with Rodney Payne. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, topics you'd like discussed on the show, or if you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email us at rpayne@onevoiceinc.org. That's rpayne@onevoiceinc.org. You can also search for us on Acast, Google Play, SoundCloud, and iTunes. Just look for Speaking with One Voice. Now, here's your host, Rodney Payne.
Hello and welcome to Speaking with One Voice. I am your host, the coach, Rodney Payne. So excited to be back with you again this week on Speaking with One Voice, your leadership podcast, where we are devoted to developing you and or your leadership team on your leadership journey. Let me just say thank you so much for continuing to like and subscribe, follow, and even rate our podcast. We continue to expand our influence on this platform, and we're grateful for your support. I ask that you would do me a favor. If you would just go to our YouTube channel at Rodney R. Payne, go ahead and like that, subscribe to that, as well as all of our other posts that we're putting out and content. We want to hear from you. So send us a message, a direct message, or like or comment so that we know what your questions are, and we want to serve you in the best way possible. So we love to interact with you via those various platforms. If you're here for the first time, please go by RodneyRPayne.com. Pick up your special free gift today. I've got a gift there for you, how to move the needle in your organization. Simply go by RodneyRPayne.com and you can pick up your free gift today. Let's get ready to continue. We are in the midst of this series where we're talking about collaboration. We're talking about 5 keys to effective collaboration. So far we've gone through the foundation of collaboration, which is building trust and respect. We talked about how important it is to have trust amongst your team and to have earned respect within your organization. We've also talked about clear communication and that being the art of collaboration. Today, I want to step out into a little bit different area as it relates to collaboration. This is key. I want to talk about the power of inclusion, the power of inclusion. Now, what happens here when we talk about inclusion, I'm talking about an environment where everyone on your team feels a part of the team, gets to be included in the process of team. And when you're going to have collaboration, remember, you're going to have multiple entities within your organization looking to work together to be able to accomplish your common goal. For that to happen, we have to have an inclusive process that allows each team and each team member to be a part of the process. That's our goal. So as we dig into this, there are a few thoughts I want to give you concerning the power of inclusion. Just think about it from this perspective. If you have 5 experts and everyone is included in your process, your end result or produced product, if you will, is going to always be the best that it can be. If you have 5 team members, but one person comes up with everything on the team and then tells the other 4 exactly what to do, you have the power of one. So what we want to do is we want to exponentially impact our audience by making sure that we use and leverage properly every resource that we have on the team. So the first thing I want to talk about here is, let's consider this: the value of diverse experiences. The value of diverse experiences. Experience gives you your perspective. It gives you your belief system. It gives you your effectiveness. It gives you your relatability. So whenever you look at your experiences, that will determine how you function and why you're better in some areas than others. It's because of your previous experience in a given area, in a given dynamic or community. It's going to allow you to be able to relate and reach in other places, because we can use one word in 3 different communities and it means 3 different things. So when we put the diverse perspectives together, it's going to allow us to grow from our experiences. So what does it really do for us? Well, number one is, if you're going to value diverse experiences, what you're going to do is you're going to unlock creativity. When you value what someone else brings to the table and you really value it, you're going to allow your team to have a creative explosion of a sense, because what will happen is you will get to see from a panoramic view how what you're trying to accomplish, how it lands in other areas and other target demographics, as far as success and reaching and connecting. Just through basic collaboration. When you look at what everyone else sees and you bring that to the table, your experiences are going to ultimately dictate your perspective. Your perspective then will make you relatable. Your relatability makes you effective in delivering and developing the right product or solution for your audience. Just think about it. If you put someone in a room and you give them from a corporate executive's perspective, you give them the vision, you tell them what we're going to execute, you tell them what we want to do, and then you ask them, do they have any questions, feedback, or input? They don't have to have questions, feedback, or input because you've designed the whole thing based on what you see. But if you were to take it and say, okay, you know what we're going to do here is we want to solve this problem, and that's all we give them. We want to solve this problem. If you were solving this problem, how would you solve it? Do you see the difference? Now they have to think. Excuse me. Now they have to determine what they would do. They get the liberty and they say, well, what are the parameters? Say, I don't use parameters. Just think about how you would best solve this problem and then bring to us why you would solve it this way. That's the value of experience. You see, so what I like to do, if you could just picture this in your mind or even pull out a piece of paper, and I want you to draw a box, a square on the box. And when you draw the square, draw a square to make your box, I want you to make some arrows outside of the box coming into the box. So if there's a box, there's a line, it comes in, there's your arrow, it goes in the box. Make about 3 of those. And that will describe 90% of your competitors' thinking. They always think inside the industry or the vertical box. They think of what we've always done and how we've always done it, either to tweak it, to reuse it, to make it a little bit better, but we're always in that box. Now I want you to take 3 more lines, begin inside the box, take the arrow outside of the box. When you do this, now you've got 3 going in and 3 going out. Now I want you to go back in the box and I want you to start drawing squiggly lines through each side of the box. What we're in essence doing is we're removing the box and saying, I want you to think outside the box. That's going to get your creativity flowing. And when your creativity starts to flow, guess what? Creativity leads to innovation. Now you're developing something, you're building something new. Sometimes the easy button is, yes, let's tweak this and make it better. But if you really take the governors off and restrict how we're thinking, what you'll find is you'll find innovation. You'll find that you have differentiators in the marketplace. You'll find that you're setting up yourself as a leader, your brand as a brand to be different and better than others because you were willing to value diverse experiences. This is so critical for our growth. I'm so excited. I hope you're getting this because when you release your team to be creative because you're willing to value their experience, you're going to find innovative products and solutions that change your organization for the better. So as we're looking at the power of inclusion, we have to value diverse experiences. Not only that, we have to learn if we're going to understand the power and benefit from the power of inclusion, we have to learn specific inclusion practices. That's right. Inclusion practices. What does that mean? Inclusion doesn't just happen. So we just talked about the value of diverse experiences. Now, if we and that's a way, that's a practice where we can be inclusive. What we need to do is, as an organization, we don't need to just step back and let this happen, but rather we need to create actionable strategies that will lead us to a place of inclusion. Many times we have just 1 or 2 people that are the idea people, and we never ask anyone else. We don't like to do research, studies, or surveys. We don't like to do, as my mentor says, Chris Robinson, get good first. We don't like to take the time, but if you will take the time to develop an inclusive practice, one of the things are not just surveys, but truly to develop a real-time survey in the middle of a meeting that we're not capturing the data of the person who's contributing, but rather we're simply saying anonymously, we want you to tell us what's wrong, what's broken, how would you fix it? Now you get a way to include everyone in the process. You can do very specific targeted surveys, but when you create a culture that allows for others to include themselves in the process of development, in the process of marketing, in the process of sales, whatever the process may be. When you allow others to participate, that's going to make a big difference. And again, you get to leverage the strengths from your subject matter experts. And I believe that this practice is not always just best used in the executive arm of the organization. I believe that some of your best ideas will come from the front lines of your business. You've got to get those people who interact with your clients, those who service them, those who manage relationships, get their ideas. Why? Because they hear your customers directly, they interact daily, and they have ideas, but no one ever asks them, what actionable strategies can you implement as an organization to allow for inclusive practices to be a way of business? Listen, I want to give you an assignment. I want you to write this down. I want you to develop 3 specific strategies for inclusive practices within your organization. How will we make sure that we know exactly what everyone in our organization wants? How will we get feedback from everyone? 3 of them. Why do I want you to get 3 of them? You may not use all 3, but if you have 3, it'll take you through a process and you're going to get to the best possible solution for getting the best possible information from inside your organization. That's the beautiful thing here. So I want you to make sure that you are developing these practices. Now, here's the thing. Don't go through all of this work and developing these practices and then not be willing to offer genuine consideration for alternatives that are offered by your team members. If you're going to have them to do the work, we don't want them to feel included. We want them to be included. Did you catch that? We're not trying to set some culture that says it feels like I'm a part of the process when I'm really not. That's not an integrity situation. That's not a place where you can get truth. But what you can have in your organization when you decide that I want to have everyone in the room to contribute collaboratively. So I'm going to include you. We have specific strategies to give you a safe place where you can give your ideas without fear of retribution or paybacks. And then when you put your ideas in, we are going to genuinely consider all of them. I recently did a strategic plan for an organization, and from that organization, I had 6 contributing groups, and some of the things within those groups were duplicative. So we put those in one time, but every idea that came from the table was genuinely considered. Were all accepted? Of course not. You can't do every idea, but if you are genuine in your consideration, what will happen is people within your organization will begin to see that others' opinions actually matter. What we think actually matters. We are actually included in the process. So, my friends, there is great power when you include your team, but you've got to have specific, strategic, inclusive practices. Listen, you are listening to Speaking with One Voice. I am your host, the coach, Rodney Payne. We are here each and every week to add value to you and or your leadership team. Today, we are talking about the power of inclusion as one of the 5 keys to effective collaboration. So as we continue on and make this last turn, I want you to think about going to this. This is a different perspective. I really want you to do this. Every organization has this, but not every organization leverages this for the benefit of the organization. What is it, you ask? If you're going to really get to the power of inclusion, you're going to have to learn how to use conflict as opportunity. Wait a minute. Conflict as opportunity. We are not always going to see eye to eye. Everyone in the organization is not going to see things the same. What we have to do is to create a culture where conflict gives us an opportunity to be expressive while being respectful, while being considered. So I got to have all of them. I have to have my expression, but I have to have respect. And then I have to have consideration. So when I do this, now the conflict is not some opposing force looking to destroy the organization or to destroy individuals or to make it personal. But we remember collaboration requires a common goal. And so if we have a common goal within the organization, conflict means we may not agree, but that opportunity may be an opportunity to merge two opposing ideas to come up with one better one. Or it may be that we yield this time to this idea and yield that time to the next, not from a scorekeeping perspective, but for what's best for our organization. But if I know you're respectful, conflict is only a difference of opinion. Conflict does not mean that we're fighting to the death, that we're going tooth and nail at each other. That is not what that means. But when we don't agree, we have to be able to look at that as an opportunity to, first of all, understand the other person's perspective. Remember, one team, common goal. Conflict means we don't agree. But take time to, if you can picture yourself sitting behind your desk and having a colleague on the other side of the desk. If you're going to get to a place where we're going to use conflict as opportunity, one of us needs to get up from one side of the desk and go to the other side of the desk and join our colleague there. Why? Because we are on the same team and we have one common goal. Now, the key is when we get here, we don't have to agree. Agreement is not necessary in the creative process. Agreement is not necessary in the creative process. As a matter of fact, it is my belief that a certain amount of tension is good to test the validity of the idea, to test the sustainability of the model. So we don't want arguments, we don't want fighting, but we do want to challenge ourselves to be the very best that we can be. Think about this. For many years, I used a personal trainer in my health and wellness journey. Why would I do that? I don't know. Maybe I was a glutton for punishment. You know how it goes. But really, the reason I used a personal trainer is because we had a common goal of me being healthy. But they would take me and extend me and put tension on me to get me to places that I could not get myself. Much like in organizational development, the reason you hire consultants and coaches is to help you take yourself where you're capable of going, but you'd probably never take yourself. That tension. So I remember this Bosu ball thing. It's a ball. And the half Bosu where you have to stand on the ball while doing squats and curls at the same time. So it works on your legs, your biceps. It works on your core all at one time, but it puts tension on your muscles. Well, when you have that tension, what you do is you increase your strength and you increase your capacity. And that's how we have to look at conflict within the organization as it relates to inclusion. Our goal is to increase our capacity, but we cannot do that if we don't have respect. We cannot do that if we don't have real consideration. So these are things we have to look at and how we leverage conflict as opportunity. Why? Because conflict and opportunity, when they come together, what they literally do is they're going to help you to produce a better result. They're going to help you to prove the concept by a certain amount of stress or a certain amount of tension. They're going to help you to grow out and expand these innovative ideas to not just the first idea, but the proven idea. So let's not run. I know there are so many personality types, and most people, to be honest with you, don't like conflict. So don't look at it as conflict. Look at it as a difference of opinion that we're going to vet out so that we can produce the best possible outcome for our organization. I'm excited about this because the opportunity before us is if we can learn that we have one purpose, we have a common goal, we have respect within the organization, we have consideration for everyone, we have innovative ideas coming out, we have creativity coming out. My friend, your organization and your leadership is going to go to the next level. That's the power of inclusion. You want to make sure that you are giving your organization the best opportunity for success. Listen, I want you to know we have been talking about the power of inclusion, and you're listening to Speaking with One Voice with your host, the coach, Rodney Payne. Just a couple of things real quickly that I'd like to share with you. We are talking about 5 keys to collaboration. The foundation of collaboration, my friends, is building trust and respect. And you can see that we leverage respect at every level. So when you talk about clear communication and the art of collaboration, you'll see respect show up again. The best way to collaborate is to have respect as the foundation of the communication. Then you have to learn to embrace diverse perspectives, or better stated, the power of inclusion. When you include everybody in the organization and there's real consideration, you are going to get the best, my friend. So I want you to remember, gave you an assignment today. you to develop three actionable strategies for developing inclusive practices within your organization. I want you to do that. And remember, we got to have genuine consideration there and always value diverse experiences. Listen, I am so excited that you joined us this week on Speaking with One Voice. I'm out of time, but I want to remind you, please go by our website, RodneyRPayne.com. Pick up your free gift there. Go and like and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Rodney R. Payne. Turn on your notifications so you can get the latest content delivered right to you, and you'll be aware when it hits. Also, on all of our social media platforms, please engage in our communications. We are posting, we are giving you leadership information, and we are airing our podcast on all of these platforms, wherever you consume this content. So we want to interact with you, and I'd love to answer your questions live here. I'd also love to hit challenging topics that you want to know about. So if you'll DM us and let us know what you'd like to hear, we'll see if we can get you on the podcast as it relates to getting to your content. And who knows, we may even have you as a guest if you're an expert in that particular area. As always, it is my pleasure to add value to you and or your leadership team. You have been listening to Speaking with One Voice. I am your host, the coach, Rodney Payne. Until next time, my friends, let's keep growing together.
You've been listening to Speaking with One Voice. Please remember to follow Rodney Payne on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Rodney R. Payne. We'd love to hear from you and get your feedback, so please feel free to leave us comments. And if you would, rate and subscribe to the podcast, we'd appreciate that as well. Don't forget to set up for notifications so you can get the latest updates and social media posts and get new podcasts when they're released. As always, use the hashtag Speaking with One Voice or simply SWOV on any of your social media posts.